One gift that God has given me, the love of books, the golden key that opens an enchanting door to worlds I never knew before. A world of imagination that carried me from pole to pole within a twinkling eye and back again. As a boy, I traveled to places impossible for me to see, and yet my bookshelf made them real to me. The world of my bookshelf, I'll remember it always.
This is The Bookshelf. Adaptations of favorite Christian children's literature. Stories brought to life by The Bookshelf.
There are books we read and quickly forget, and others that remain with us like fond memories. That's why this particular series of The Adventures of the Sugar Creek Gang by Paul Hutchins is so special. Since 1940, the Sugar Creek Gang has been a family favorite in many Christian homes. Bounding into adventures filled with suspense, mystery, and laughter, this gang of fun-filled, life-loving boys never have a dull day. And most important of all, they learn to trust and follow the Master, Jesus Christ. As we take the Sugar Creek Gang off the bookshelf, sit back, relax, and remember when a day was special because of a quiet walk down a country road or a fun race through a meadow, when you could smell Mom's cooking a mile away, and your mouth started watering 'cause you knew freshly mashed potatoes with home gravy, roast, and home-baked pies were just a dinner bell clang away. And when you settled into bed at night and thanked the Lord for another day full of His grace, you knew when you closed your eyes you'd wake up to another one more wonderful than those just gone by.
It's the Sugar Creek Gang a-walking down the road. The Sugar Creek Gang that we all know. There's Big Jim, our leader, and Little Jim, our pal. There's circus and poetry, the athlete and the clown. And if you notice someone with eyes so round and keen, that's Dragonfly, the funny guy who sees important things. And then there's Bill, well, just plain Bill. No athlete or clown, but he'd like to share his tales about the greatest gang around. Their joys, their woes, their highs, their lows, their ups and then their downs. Their days so filled with God's dear Son and lessons yet to learn. For the Sugar Creek Gang isn't any old gang, not any old gang at all. They're our gang, they're our guys, the Sugar Creek Gang.
Happy times, happy times. 6 growing boys chock full of all the excitement of youth. That's what we were. Makes me laugh now. When I think how at this age it takes all the strength I've got to walk up a flight of stairs, or speed up a little to catch a bus that's just leaving the curb. Why, when I was part of that gang, seemed like my feet never wanted to stop running. Here, there, you name the adventure, all of us were into it. Now, Big Jim was the oldest member of our gang, and of course, as you already know, he was our leader. That put big responsibility on him, 'cause every time we'd be off somewhere, good old Jim would have taken orders from all our moms and dads about what we could or couldn't do. He'd listen, sort of mentally jot it all down, and we knew that he'd make mighty sure we didn't do anything to upset our parents, but still have a good time and all. That's the kind of a great leader Big Jim was. Why, I remember... Yes, I remember, and I'm glad this particular memory flashed on my aging mental screen, 'cause it's going to lead us into an adventure that I'd just about forgotten. And I don't know how I could have, since it was a mighty important one. It was the day Big Jim got his driver's license. You know how country folk learn how to drive at an early age and all. Having to help our folks with the farm work, you learn how to drive a tractor pretty early. But for driving into town and all, well, you had to wait for that proper age. And Big Jim was there, took the test, and passed with flying colors. It was a big day when he got it, 'cause for the last 3 years, he'd been saving money to buy an old jalopy. And both things happened right on the same day.
Is it a beauty?
I sure do like the rumble seat.
Look at that upholstery. Well, I've never seen such a bright yellow in my whole life.
Oh, no, I think I'd prefer blue.
You don't start picking upholstery colors when you buy a used car.
My dad says you shouldn't buy a used car because you're only buying another person's problems.
That's if you're not a mechanic. Now, I checked this lady out real careful like, and there's nothing wrong that I can't fix.
Well, my dad buys used cars all the time.
Mine too.
Well, if your dad was a farmer, Dragonfly, well, he'd know how to fix machines, and maybe he would buy a used car.
Yeah, when you rent a motel, it doesn't give you too much time for learning mechanical stuff.
That's not true. My dad knows plumbing and how to fix heating systems and stuff like that. Would you buy a used car, Poetry?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, well, no, I wouldn't.
Why not? You live on a farm.
Well, yeah, but it's my folks that are the farmers. Now, I want to be a professor or something. Well, besides, I'm not very good with screwdrivers and such.
So you see, not all farm people buy used cars.
Well, yes, but
Wait just a minute. I drove all the way over here to show you guys my new car. Used car. And instead of enjoying it, you're arguing... Discussing the reasons why you should or shouldn't buy a used car. Let me tell you something. If I could afford to buy a new car, I'd buy one. But I can't. And I can fix up a used car, and that's just what I did. But if you fellas don't like used cars, that's okay. You don't have to ride in it.
Hey, we didn't say that.
Yeah, who said anything about not riding in the car?
Well, if you don't like used cars... Bill, you mind helping little Jim into the back seat?
Sure, Big Jim.
Oh, boy, I sure love rumble seats now.
I wouldn't want you to share in anything that you got principles against and all.
But we didn't say that.
Who wants to ride in the rumble seat with little Jim?
Well, I do, but on the way back, I want to switch to the front.
You know, it was Dragonfly who started all this. I just said I wasn't very good with screwdrivers.
I'll ride up in front with you, Big Jim.
Okay, fellas, you all in?
Ready to go. Wait,
Locked in tight.
Start her up.
Big Jim, wait.
No, it's all right. I wouldn't want you fellas to do anything you wouldn't want to do.
Who said anything about not wanting to? I want to ride in your car. I really do.
Me too.
But it's used. You wouldn't want to ride in somebody else's problem.
Oh, come on, Big Jim.
Nope. I don't want to push you into anything.
Who's pushing? We just
See you guys later.
Bye-bye, fellas.
Have a nice time. Wait,
Big Jim, we were only kidding. Big Jim.
Just left us flat.
Big Jim!
Left us in this old dirt road. Now we gotta walk back. And it's all your fault.
My fault?
You're always quoting your dad.
Quoting my dad. I just said...
like a parrot.
Just a minute, Leslie Thompson. You started it. You're the one who made a nasty remark about the upholstery.
What nasty remark? I just said I'd prefer blue.
Yeah, but it was the tone of voice.
What do you mean, my tone of voice?
You know exactly what I mean.
Well, it has nothing to do with my remark. Oh, look, what are we getting all angry about? If we're gonna get angry, we should get angry at Big Jim. He didn't have to take us so seriously.
Yeah, I guess you're right. He was pretty sensitive.
Sensitive. His feelings about that old jalopy couldn't be more than an inch under his skin.
Yeah, but he's been saving up for it a long time. Giving up a lot of things he really wanted. Working extra jobs and all. Hey, what's that coming up the road?
I don't know. Maybe it's Big Jim coming back to get us. Maybe he was only joking.
No, it doesn't look like his car.
Oh, sure he's coming fast. We better get over the side of the road.
It's a big, almost like a hearse.
It's a Cadillac.
Who owns a Cadillac around here?
Maybe it's not from around here. Well, there she goes.
Yep. That was strange.
What?
The curtains in the back of the car were closed.
What's so strange about that?
Who keeps curtains and windows closed on such a hot day?
Well, maybe they got fans in there. I mean, anybody who could afford a big car like that.
Fans? Who ever heard of fans in a car?
Well, whoever heard of curtains in a car?
That's not so strange.
You sure we're going awful fast?
Yeah.
You didn't look at the license plate, did you?
Not really. Hey, you know, I don't remember there being numbers in the back at all.
What do you mean?
I mean, they were covered up like.
Like they were trying to hide the identity of the car or something? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't know, but I'm sure I would have remembered a couple of numbers. 'Cause remember when we play the license plate game when we're traveling? I'm always winning just 'cause it's the first thing I look at.
Yeah, I know. Just 'cause a car goes speeding down a dirt road with a license plate that doesn't show. I mean, we're not even sure of that. That could have been our imagination and all.
Look, isn't that the sheriff's car? Wow, is he coming fast? Let's get back off the road.
You think maybe?
Who has to think?
Oh, I wish Big Jim were here with his jalopy.
Boy, did he whiz past us.
He didn't even wave.
He didn't even see us.
Where do you think Big Jim went to?
Who knows? Probably just driving around the countryside.
Boy, wait till he hears about this. I wonder why the sheriff was chasing him.
Maybe they robbed the bank.
I hope not. My dad put in a big deposit the other day.
Wouldn't matter. The bank's insured. Wait, isn't that Big Jim coming up this way?
Boy, it sure is. Hey, maybe he saw the sheriff chasing that big Cadillac.
Well, if he didn't, we'll tell him. Maybe we can follow. If there's been a bank robbery, they're going to need help capturing the criminals.
But they may not want us around.
They'll want us all right. After what we did to capture the criminals who tore up Mr. Paddler's cabin?
Maybe, but let's not count chickens. Maybe they were just getting him for speeding. Big Jim!
Hey, Big Jim!
You're only supposed to go like 20 miles an hour on this old road.
Poetry, Dragonfly.
Did you see the sheriff whiz by?
Get in quick.
Who are we chasing?
Never mind, just get in.
Get in the back!
Wait until you're here.
Hurry on now!
What's going on?
Has the bank been robbed?
Lock the door, Bill.
Okay, I got it.
How long ago did the big car drive by?
Oh, just a few minutes.
And the sheriff?
You just missed him.
What's going on? Did they rob the
They
bank?
covered their license plate number. It's gonna be hard to find them.
Did they rob the bank?
It doesn't matter. That big black car won't be hard to find. Nobody owns one like it around in these parts.
Hey, is somebody gonna answer my question? Did they or didn't they rob the bank?
Worse than that. They've kidnapped Mr. Winthrop's daughter.
We really got ourselves into a spin-tailing adventure, a real kidnapping. Some unidentified men had kidnapped Mr. Charles Winthrop's daughter. Mr. Winthrop was the wealthiest landowner in these here parts. In fact, when my dad and Mom were first married, they bought their farm from him. Mr. Winthrop has his great big mansion right outside of Sugar Creek, with guards and all. I've been told that he had more businesses than just real estate. But that was something pretty secret. We really didn't know Mr. Winthrop, except to say hello, and that wasn't very often, 'cause he was always chauffeured around and stuff. He'd sometimes come visiting my folks. They weren't real close or nothing like that, but once in a while, Mr. Winthrop would drop by our house, and my dad and he would talk for a while, and then he'd leave. Dad would never say anything, but that evening he'd mention Mr. Winthrop during evening prayer. I never thought much about it, but now, with this kidnapping and all, well, Mr. Winthrop began to take a little more focus in my life.
Boy, Big Jim's been in the sheriff's office a long time. I wonder what they're talking about.
Sure wish we could have gone.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have been a good idea. Big Jim and Bill are the oldest, so they should do the talking.
Do you think they'll let us help capture the criminals?
I don't see why not. We've helped Sheriff Leland plenty of times.
Yeah, but this is a lot more serious. I'll bet Mr. Winthrop will call the FBI in on it and all.
You think so?
Well, he can afford it.
You're right. Why do you think anybody would want to kidnap Cynthia?
Well, probably for the money. I bet you anything, whoever took her is going to be asking for a ransom.
Well, how much do you think?
Mr. Winthrop's a pretty rich man.
I couldn't even guess.
I bet it'll be more than $100.
Oh, way beyond that, little Jim. People don't go around kidnapping important people's children unless they're after something.
What time is it now? I have to get home and help Mom fix dinner.
We got time. Besides, Big Jim will drive us.
That's right. It won't take as long.
You mean you're going to let him drive you home? Do you think the car will make it?
Stop rubbing it in. It was a big misunderstanding. We didn't mean to insult Big Jim in his new used car. Hey, where did you guys go?
Oh, just up the road. We were going to turn around and pick you guys up, and that's when that car went speeding by. We stopped and were turning around when Sheriff came down the road. He stopped and asked us if we'd seen the big Cadillac and told us Mr. Winthrop's daughter had been kidnapped. After that, we just followed on down, and then you guys got in.
When people kidnap little kids, they don't hurt them, do they?
Oh, no. They just hold them until their folks get the money.
Not all the time, Circus. Sometimes kidnappers can be pretty mean. You remember about the girl who was buried alive?
Buried alive? Oh, that's awful.
Oh.
Well, it was in the newspapers a while back. Well, these two guys kidnapped a rich man's daughter, and they put her in this box, almost like a coffin, except it had water and food for about a week. And they buried her underground, fixing it so she could get oxygen and all.
Yeah, and then what?
Well, then they sent a note to her parents telling them what they'd done and asking for a ransom.
Do you remember how much?
No, well, it was a lot, though.
Did they get their money?
Yes, and they didn't get caught either.
Wow.
They left a note giving directions on where to find the girl.
Was she alive?
Yes, but she was a mess. Had to go to the hospital and all to get better. Well, being in such a small space for such a long time.
How long?
5 days.
Wow, that must have been horrible.
It was.
Does that mean that Cindy might have the same thing happen to her?
Who knows?
Criminals do real strange things.
Yeah.
Well, if all they want is money, that's no problem for Mr. Winthrop.
Yes, but what if he gives them the money and they turn around and do the same thing again?
Could that happen?
Well, I don't see why not unless they're caught. That's where we come in.
That is, if Sheriff gives us permission to help.
Well, why wouldn't he?
Because this just isn't a small-town crime and all, like robbing a grocery store. It's a big kidnapping.
Yeah, but wouldn't he want as many people to help as he could?
Well, not necessarily. Well, you see, with kidnappers and all, they usually say not to involve the police.
Yeah, but the sheriff is helping.
Well, but that's unusual, isn't it?
Yes, and we'll have to wait until Big Jim and Bill come out to tell us how Sheriff Leland got involved. But what I was saying is that kidnappers sometimes, well, really a lot of the times, well, they say to the people who they kidnap from, well, if you guys tell anybody, we'll hurt the kid.
Really? Oh, that sounds awful.
But it seems to me this kidnapping wasn't very secretive. I mean, racing down a road like that and all, with the sheriff right behind them.
Bet something happened, a mix-up in their plans.
Maybe.
Well, anyway, even though we're willing to help, the sheriff might think that so many of us is more of a hindrance.
You might be right.
Well, if we can't help one way, I know of another.
What's that?
Praying. You see, these criminals might be smart and all, but they're not smart enough to fool the Lord. So, whether the sheriff lets us help or not, I'm going to be praying real hard.
That's real good, little Jim. We can do that, and we will. Circus, didn't your dad work for Mr. Winthrop?
Yeah, he does landscaping for him in the spring.
Did you ever go over there?
Sometimes. When I was there, I used to get to play with Cindy. She was real nice. You know how you hear that rich kids are real spoiled? But Cindy's not. She's really friendly. She even let me ride her pony.
Wow, did you ever meet her dad?
Well, no. He's a real busy man. Even Cindy doesn't get to see him very often. And I think it makes her kind of sad. You know, she has no brothers and sisters. She's just got a lot of pets. When I'd come over, she'd be so happy to see somebody her own age.
Funny. I always thought it would be real great to be a rich kid, but now I'm thinking maybe it wouldn't be. Her mom seems to be always traveling.
Hey, that's right. Last time I was over there, her mom was on a cruise to Europe.
Yeah, I know. I heard my mom and dad talking about it over dinner one night, and how she's never home and how he's always working.
I'm thirsty.
Why don't we go over to the sweet shop?
Wait, what happens when Big Jim and Bill come out and we're not here?
Well, oh, I know. We can leave a note on the windshield of his car.
Anybody got a piece of paper and a pencil?
I do.
Well, you can write the note.
Okay, you guys go on ahead.
Oh, boy. I'm going to get a chocolate egg cream.
Don't you think it'll spoil your dinner?
It's spoiled anyway. We're having liver tonight.
Well, I like liver, especially when it's smothered in onions.
You must have real old taste buds.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the reason why most kids don't like liver is their taste buds are so sensitive that strong tasting foods like liver
Ugh, I hate the stuff.
just leave a bad taste in your mouth. But the older you get, the more you can stand stuff like liver, spinach, avocados.
Yeah, but I like all those things.
That's what I was saying. You've got old taste buds.
Where did you get that stupid idea?
Oh, some medical journal.
Are you sure you didn't hear it on some dumb radio program?
Yeah, you're always listening to radio programs.
Come on, you guys. Here's the sweet shop.
Hi, Mr. Smitty.
Hey, fellas.
Hello.
Boy, I sure love the smell of a sweet shop.
Well, what you fellas doing here midweek?
Well, didn't you hear? Big Jim and... Ouch!
Big Jim got this new used car, so we got a ride into town.
Mighty fine. Well, do you fellas want your regular?
Yeah, and can I have extra chocolate in my egg cream?
Sure. Who's that for? Oh, just let me get the phone and I'll be right with you.
Why'd you kick me?
How'd you know the sheriff wants that kidnapping spread around?
It'll probably be in the newspapers tomorrow.
Fine. And when the newspapers come out with it, then it's public. But if we want to be good detectives, we have to learn to be discreet.
Discreet?
Secretive.
Oh, yeah. Dragonfly's right.
but he
We
didn't have
gotta be discreet.
Did you guys order my HFNS?
Soon as Mr. Smitty gets off the line. Look, we didn't mention anything to Mr. Smitty, just in case Sheriff Leland didn't want it out. You know.
Oh, good idea.
Why don't we sit here at the corner table so we can talk?
Well, let me order my hot fudge first.
Well, don't worry about your hot fudge. We're going to get our regulars.
Well, fellas, now to get your orders. Your HFNS, Poultry.
Right.
Uh-huh.
We're going to sit right here in the corner.
Fine. When you fellas were driving in Big Jim's car, you didn't by any chance see a big black Cadillac driving down the...
How did you know?
Well, I figured something was up when Dragonfly walloped you in the shin. but it was a phone call, actually. It's out, and I respect you boys for keeping it a secret. The more people who know, the more dangerous it is. It seems now like the whole town knows. Pity. Mr. Bentham's daughter kidnapped.
It's terrible, Mr. Smitty.
Who was that on the phone?
Yeah, who?
My wife. She heard it from Sylvia.
I wonder how many phone calls Sylvia listens in on.
Here you are, little Jim.
Oh, thanks.
I don't think she was eavesdropping. She just had to make the calls to the sheriff and the FBI.
Wow, the FBI.
Yeah, but she didn't have to go spreading it around.
I can appreciate what you're saying, but I'm sure this thing is big enough to make the city papers and all. One hot fudge.
Oh, thanks.
You think so?
I know so. Mr. Winsup's a pretty important man.
Well, you're right. You wouldn't have any guesses on who done it.
Not the foggiest. Mr. Winsup's in a world that none of us would have any idea about. Big business has its own rewards and consequences. He deals with a lot of money and a lot of power.
Well, that's okay if he put the Lord first in his life.
Huh? What was that, little Jim?
I just said that having money and power's okay, just so long as God gets first place.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of a job you've got. If God's first in your life, things are just different.
The banana split?
Oh, well, that would be for Big Jim. Well, he's the one who likes banana splits. Oh, but I'll eat it. I can have my marshmallow sundae on Saturday.
Fine. I'd hate to throw it away. Tell you what, it's on me. In fact, the whole lot is on me.
Wow, thanks.
Really?
We really do appreciate it.
Nothing, fellas.
Do you know Cindy, Mr. Smitty?
Yes, her nanny brings her in once a month for a Sunday. She likes hot fudge nut sundaes, too. Calls them HFNS, just same as you, Poultry.
Just once a month?
Yes, they keep a pretty tight rein on her sweet tooth.
Oh, I'd die. I'd just absolutely die.
I'm sure you would.
Well, I think ice cream has got to be one of the most terrific inventions in the world. Also, this hot fudge just dripping over all that luscious ice cream with these yummy nuts and gobs of whipped cream. Well, if I had one wish, I'd wish
What was that?
Those were gunshots.
Maybe somebody's been hurt. I'm going to...
Don't go out there!
Not yet. Wait.
Well, I'll be rope-tied Holstein.
Maybe somebody robbed the bank, too.
Do you see anything, Dragonfly?
Some broken glass, the sheriff's window. Big Jim's out in the middle of the street with the sheriff. They're leaning over somebody.
Do you think maybe...
Oh, no!
What is it?
It's Bill! Something happened to Bill! Let's get out there!
Do you think it's safe?
Whatever happened ain't gonna happen again.
Let's go, fellas.
What do you think happened?
Oh, if they hurt Bill, I'm gonna...
Hold on, Poetry.
That car, it wasn't a Cadillac.
Do you know what make?
No, missed it.
Bill!
I
Bill!
hope he's not hurt bad.
Big Jim, what happened?
It's okay, fellas.
Bill, are you all right?
Well, I guess so.
He ran outside when the brick came through the window. A bullet creased his shoulder.
But you're bleeding!
Yeah, I am.
Whoever they were meant business. There's a note attached to the brick.
What's it say?
Let's just wait. Bill, I want the doctor to take a look at that.
Oh, it's all right, sir.
I know, but I just want to make sure.
Want to try and get up, Bill?
Oh, sure. I can get up, really. I'm okay. It's just... Oh!
Bill!
Catch it, Poetry!
Easy, fellas. I think we're going to get you into the car and drive you over to the doctor you don't need to see.
Yeah. I guess maybe you're right.
It's shock. Your system was given a little surprise. Big Jim, let's get him over to Doc Shivers.
Right. Fellas, would you mind getting yourselves home? Because I don't know how long this will take.
Well, that's okay. I'll drive them home.
Well, couldn't we stay for a while just to see if Bill's all right?
Yeah.
You can stay till closing time at the shop.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Smitty.
Then we can all go over to the doctor's.
Well, I suppose you can. Let's get him on into the car, huh?
Easy, Bill.
Okay.
Bill, I'll call my mom and see if I can spend the night at your place. That way you'll have somebody to keep you company.
That's real nice of you, little Jim.
You guys hop in the front in the rumble seat. Little Jim, stay in the back with Bill, okay?
Sure thing.
I'm gonna have to call my mom and tell her I'll be late.
You can do that when you get to Doc Shivers. Big Jim, tell the doctor I'll be by in just a little while.
Yes, sir. See you later.
You boys, don't forget to be at the sweet shop closing time.
Oh, we will.
See ya.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah, quite a day.
That's putting it mildly. Bet you didn't expect to have this much excitement when you were elected to the sheriff's office.
I can't say that I did. And let's head back into the office. Got a few minutes?
Sure. I don't think anybody minds if the shop's closed for a little while. It isn't one of your normal days. Yeah. You'll have to get that repairman Finsberg to fix the window for you.
Yeah, by tonight. Can't have a wide-open sheriff's office.
You mentioned the brick having a note on it.
Yes, sir. It's a ransom note.
Why didn't they give it to Winthrop?
Oh, they give reason. Take a look.
Oh, yeah. This could have been a quiet job, but you stuck your nose in where it shouldn't have been. So now you come with it to the end. You tell that big shot Winthrop that if he wants to see his tender puddin' pie, to put $10,000 in the grave of Swift Bear in the old Indian cemetery in 3 days. After we get the money, the kid will be delivered. If we don't, we'll be leaving the kid in the cemetery, and there won't be any reason to take her from there. Well, that's serious. How did you get involved?
Yeah, just tried to stop him from speeding. I mean, a big Cadillac bombing down a dirt road that registers a 20-mile speed limit. Well, something looked suspicious. They did stop. Figured I'd give them a ticket and let them go on their way, which probably would have. But then I heard a scream and went from a gun. They took off. I fired. They were gone. Mr. Winthrop's butler pulled up in a car, told me what happened. Well, you know the rest.
Yeah.
I know what they're figuring. If I get personally involved, I won't do anything to try and capture them. Well, whoever they are, they've done it before, and they know the ropes. Want some coffee?
No, thanks.
Yeah. That's good. Glass shattered.
Oh.
It's in the coffee grounds.
Well, I can make you some over in the shop.
No, that's all right. It's an addiction with me. I gotta cut down.
So, what's the next step?
See Bill home, go to Mr. Winthrop. The secretary called him long distance. He'll be flying in soon.
Do you think they'll hurt the child?
Well, I hope to God they don't. $10,000.
A lot of money. Especially now when the country's going through such a time.
It won't be for Charles. But what's to guarantee they won't do it again? And how did they pick the Winthrops?
What do you mean?
Well, it had to be a reason. You just don't pick any man out of a phone book and go after the daughter.
Oh, I'm sure he meets a lot of strange people, and in that big business world of his name's in every social register. I'm sure they looked at his bank account.
Yeah, maybe. You know, I remember talking to Charles once, and him saying the smartest move he made was living out here with us simple folk. What he meant was living in a place where he was the only wealthy individual. You know, when they're all lined up in their rich neighborhoods, I bet they have a lot of attempts at robbery and all.
Yeah.
But it's not the only reason he moved out here. Charles is a simple man who likes simple things. He wanted to provide a protective world for Cindy.
Well, can't blame him. She's a sweet child.
That she is. Would you excuse me for a minute?
Yeah, oh, sure.
Sylvia? Yes, 'tis. Ring that handyman Len Finsberg for me. Yeah, the window needs fixing. Oh, well, that's mighty kind of you. Yeah, just tell him to come around as soon as he can. No, we haven't heard a word yet. Yes, Mr. Winthrop's flying in shortly. I'm to go over to his house. Look, Sylvia, I know it's a temptation and all, but could you kind of keep as much of this out of the phone lines as possible? Now, that's not what I said. I'd just appreciate it if Sylvia... Sylvia! She cut me off.
She doesn't like it when you hold a mirror up to her.
Well, who does?
Any idea who may have written the note?
Not the foggiest. They use an old portable typewriter, which I'm sure they carry around with them. I'm not the FBI.
Oh, isn't Mr. Winthrop calling them in?
Well, he was, but then he changed his mind. Said he'd get a private investigator. Wanted to talk to me about it.
It seems to me he'd want to get as much help as he could.
I don't know. Sounded strange over the phone. I can't figure it out. So I figure on just waiting and seeing.
Well, I think I'd better get back to the shop. Are you sure I can't get you some liquid refreshment?
No. As soon as Len Finsberg gets here, I'm going to head to Doc Shiver's and then out to Mr. Winthrop's. Thanks for driving the boys home.
Well, nothing to it. They're a fine bunch of boys. A little over-religious sometimes, but nice.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, something little Jim said when I was talking about Mr. Winthrop and his business. He said something about when you put God first in your life, well, then it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, things will turn out for the best, something like that.
Oh?
Pretty simple. His folks must be the type to think they can save the whole world by giving everybody a comb and a toothbrush.
No, I don't think it's all that simple. They're just Bible-believing Christians.
Well, so am I.
Yeah, but Smitty, I've known these kids, and I know just how they make you feel. I mean, I'm religious. I believe in God, believe that Christ is his son, that he died for me, but they live it. I mean, really live it. You won't catch them doing anything unless they talk it over with God first.
Talk it over with God?
That's right. It sounds crazy, but I don't know. Maybe if I'd been raised like that, things would have been different for me.
How so?
Well, just different. Oh, don't mind me. Get a lot of things on my mind. But, Smitty, you watch those boys.
Okay.
And then think about somebody like Cindy, who has what everybody thinks is the perfect life. Big home, everything she wants. But I've never seen such an unhappy child. And then that group of boys. They don't come from rich homes, but their way of life makes them happy. Yes, happy. How many people can you count that are really happy? Not too many, huh?
I better get on back.
Thanks again. Well, Tom Till.
Hi there, Tom.
Hi, Sheriff. Mr. Smitty.
Howdy.
Hope you weren't over to the sweet shop. I've been closed for a few minutes.
No, sir.
What can I do for you, Tom?
I have to talk with you, Sheriff.
Well, go right ahead.
Well, Well,
with all that hemming around, I think he's trying to say he wants a private conversation. I'll be seeing you.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Smitty.
I'll see you, Smitty. Well?
My dad sent me here. He'd like to talk with you.
Well, he's welcome to this office any time. Just because he's been on the other side of the law once doesn't mean that we don't accept him now.
Oh, he knows that, sir. It's just that, well, he can't.
Can't?
Yes, sir. He wants you to meet him in secret.
Secret? Now, what's this about, Tom?
It's about Cindy Winthrop.
Cindy Winthrop?
Howdy, Sheriff. Got a call from Sylvia. My, them kidnappers sure did make a mess of your window. Sylvia told me about the ransom note.
Yeah, they did. Look, Len, why did you fix the window?
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, and Tom and I are going over to Doc Shivers.
Doc Shivers?
Bill was creased by a wild bullet when the car went through town here a while ago. They threw a brick through my window with the ransom note in it.
Well, Sylvia didn't mention that.
Oh, she didn't know.
Well, that's unusual. Seems like that gal's the first to know everything.
Well, I'm sure she knows now.
Well, if she don't, I'll tell her.
Mighty nice of you. When you're finished, just close the door. It locks automatically.
Sure thing. Where's your broom and dustpan?
In the closet. We'll see you. Let's go, Tom.
Oh, yes, sir. Bye, Mr. Finsberg.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Give my best to Bill. Oh, my poor Bill. Good boy. Shot. Sylvia? Sylvia? Yeah, Len. You was right. There was a brick thrown into the window with a ransom note, but what you didn't know was Bill Collins was shot. Yeah, shot. Over by Doc Shivers. No, I don't know if his mom knows or not, but thought you'd like to. Poor boy, I bet... Sylvia? Sylvia, you there? Why, I'll be... She hung up on me.
Oh, no, I was the one who thought of staying over Bill's first.
Yeah, but my mom said I could, too.
So did mine. Fellas, let's not argue.
Bill's right. We shouldn't argue. There's no sense to it. There's a simple solution.
What's that?
Let Bill choose.
Yeah, hold on. What do you want?
Hello?
Look, if you want me, I'm going to have to go home for my toothbrush.
Fellas, keep it down. I'm on the phone. Yes?
Oh, sorry. Well, Bill?
Look, I don't have to pick up anything. I'm ready to go straight over to your place.
Yes, Mrs. Collins, I was just going to call you.
Hey, it's my mom.
Shot? No, not that serious. Yes, a bullet creased him, but nothing serious. Who said he was dying?
Dying? Somebody said you were dying?
Oh, yes, Sylvia. Well, sometimes their information isn't too reliable. Mrs. Collins? Mrs. Collins? Was that some sort of interference? I thought we were cut off for a minute. Yes, now I can hear you fine. No, there's no need to come down. He's just fine. Big Jim will be driving him home. Would you like to talk with him? Fine. Bill?
Yes, sir.
Do you need any help?
No, I'm fit as a bandage fiddle.
Say hello to your mom for me.
Okay.
Yeah, for all of us.
Thanks, Doc. Hiya, Mom. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Sure, it's nothing. I'll tell you the whole story when I get home. You did hear about the kidnapping, didn't you? Oh, Sylvia told you about that, too. Well, anyway, with all the excitement and me getting creased with the bullet, well, the fellas, they sort of want to keep me company. Do you think they could? Oh, thanks, Mom. Hey, Mom says you can all stay over.
All of us?
Yeah.
That's great. A real savage party.
Well, then, I can drive you all home, and we'll pick up sleeping bags on the way there.
Great! Thanks again, Mom. Oh, you're a real sport. It sure solves my problem. We're going to be home in about an hour. Yeah. Love you too. Bye. Bye.
You know, Bill's not going to be able to rest with all of us there.
Well, I don't have to rest, little Jim. I'm really feeling fine. Besides, we can talk about how we're going to capture the criminals.
Just make sure you get some rest. Well, it must be the sheriff.
Let's not forget to tell Mr. Smitty we don't have to ride with him.
We won't.
Come right on in, Sheriff.
Well, thank you a lot. Hi, fellas.
Hi, Sheriff.
Hello, Tom.
How are you?
Oh, hey, Tom, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just here with the sheriff.
How are you feeling?
Oh, fine. You were right. It was just shock. I feel all right now.
Good, good.
Anything else happen while we were gone?
Well, Tom here's got another lead.
You do? What is it?
Do you mean you saw them too?
Oh, well,
Yes, Tom?
Go ahead, Tom. Nobody here is going to breathe a word of it.
I know, but...
The boys saw the car, and they're going to be official deputies.
That's a mighty proud honor.
Well, you boys deserve it. Now, maybe it sounds foolish for a town official like myself, but knowing you fellas and the lives you lead, I have a feeling that you'll be more help than any private investigator.
That's a mighty fine thing to say to us, Sheriff Leland.
Well, I said it because I believe it. But, Tom, you don't have to say anything unless you want to.
Oh, it's not that I don't want to.
You don't have to say anything.
Well, it's my dad. The kidnappers contacted him.
Really?
What they say?
Doc, you expecting any more patients today?
Oh, not offhand, unless the babies do that I didn't know about. And then there's a house call. You feel free to stay right here. I'll just finish some paperwork in my office.
Well, thank you.
You mean your dad knows him?
No, he knows one of the guy's brothers who was in prison with him. Sheriff, I'm kind of worried that my dad'll beat my hide if I tell any more. He just said to come around to you.
We understand, Tom. Look, why don't I drive all these guys home so they can collect their stuff, and then we'll head to Bill's house. You can just tell the sheriff whatever you want, and he'll tell us what he sees fit.
Good idea. Now, don't forget to drop by Smitty's and tell him that you boys don't need a ride home.
We won't forget.
Let's stop at my place first. It's the closest.
Tom, would you like to spend the night at my place? All the guys are, and we're going to be talking about the kidnapping.
Well, I don't think that'd be a good idea.
Huh?
If they've contacted Tom's dad, they're going to be watching the house pretty close. And if they get any idea that John Till isn't going along with their plan, Tom will be in danger.
But wouldn't it be safer at my house?
Well, whoever did the kidnapping is making the whole territory unsafe. Besides, John needs Tom's help.
Yes, sir. You're right.
Just got a call from Mrs. Lannard. Her little girl just fell out of a tree. Sounds like her leg is broken.
That's the third time she's fallen out of that tree.
And a third cast. Anyway, I'll have to clear out the office.
We were just leaving, sir.
I want you to take 2 of these before you go to sleep tonight. It'll help you rest.
Oh, I don't think I'm going to get much sleep with the gang coming over to keep me company.
Well, then I'd advise the gang not to come over.
Don't worry, Doc. We'll get to sleep. And I'll make sure he takes those pills.
We'll see you later, Doc.
Thanks for fixing up Bill.
Well, you're welcome, little Jim.
Bye, Dr. Shivers.
Bye. Careful driving. Don't forget to stop at Mr. Smitty's.
How many times do we have to be reminded?
We won't.
I'll be dropping over tonight after I see Mr. Winthrop. I want to see how Bill's doing.
Will you tell us what Mr. Winthrop says and what he's going to do?
If I'm not betraying any confidences, I certainly will. Now, you boys go on ahead. Tom and I are going to sit a spell and discuss some things.
Boy, I sure do wish I were you, Tom. Right in the middle of it all.
Oh, I don't think you would want to be if you knew your dad's life was in danger.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. You're right, Tom. I wouldn't want my dad's life in danger.
You fellas about ready?
I want the rumble seat.
Into the back seat, Bill.
I want to sit up front.
Look, Tom, if there's anything we can do...
Yeah, I know. And thanks. Thanks a lot.
We'll see you later this evening.
Drive safely.
We will. Take care, Tom.
Bye-bye. See you later. Yeah, bye-bye.
The gang had all piled into Big Jim's car and headed to my place. We were all going to spend the night in a real savage party. And that's what guys call a party when they all spend the night together. If I remember, girls call them slumber parties. Well, anyway, while we were all at my house, Sheriff Leland went to see Charles Winthrop, who just arrived on his private charter plane.
Mr. Winthrop. Mr. Winthrop?
Sheriff.
We can take my car.
Well, this is a surprise. I appreciate you meeting me here. Let me just tell Ed he can go on without me. Must say you're efficient.
Well, I'd heard your plane was expected, so I thought you'd want to see me as soon as you stepped off the plane.
Good thinking. Ed, I'm going to be riding with the sheriff, so you can just take the car back to the house.
Yes, sir.
Ed, I wired Mrs. Winthrop. Has there been any word from her?
No, sir.
I see. Well, you may go.
I'm parked over here.
Fine. Any news since we last talked?
They shook the town up a bit by driving in full speed, firing a few shots, and throwing a brick through my window with this note in it.
Yes, this could have been a quiet job. Oh, those insolent mudlappers. $10,000.
In 3 days.
10,000 is nothing. They can have it. I just want my daughter back.
We want to catch them, Mr. Winthrop.
I don't care about that, just as long as Cindy's safe.
But there's no guarantee they won't hit you again.
I can't worry about that now.
Well, I can, and I will.
I don't want you to do anything that would jeopardize the life of my daughter. I had called a private investigator in, but if all they want is money, there's no problem.
They've broken the law, Mr. Winthrop.
We all break the law, Sheriff. I repeat, I want nothing to happen that would jeopardize the life of my daughter.
Mr. Winthrop, I'm as concerned with your daughter's safety as you are. And that concern stretches further than $10,000. Believe me, if these men know an easy touch, don't you realize they'll do it again?
There won't be another time. Cindy will not be here. I've been arranging for her to go to a private school, the best of care and education.
I see. You have any idea who these men might be?
Sheriff, I deal with a great many firms, some of which are lucrative but not necessarily completely ethical. On their side, that is. Now with the Depression, men need money. What more can I say?
The Collins boy, Bill, was creased by a wild bullet when they ripped through the town.
Ted Collins' son? Is he all right?
Yes, just a little shocked. The last time I saw him, he and the gang were planning an all-night sleeping party. They saw the kidnapper's car and chased it some, too. They want to do everything they can to help.
It's very kind of them, but the less involvement everyone has, the better. They want $10,000, I'll get $10,000.
Another thing, the Till boy.
Which one?
Tom.
Glad you told me. Their other son, Bob, has the makings of a serious delinquent. What about Tom?
His father sent him to me. Evidently, the kidnappers contacted him.
Contacted him? That means he's in on it.
Well, I don't believe that's the case.
You're telling me you believe John Till is capable of working on the side of the law?
A man is innocent until proven guilty, Mr. Winthrop.
He was proven guilty a long time ago. He was in prison for robbery and attempted murder.
He served his time, and my intuition tells me that he's learned his lesson.
If John Till knows anything about these kidnappers, I demand that he be arrested and held for questioning.
That would be very unwise. He didn't have to send his son to tell me the kidnappers made contact, but he did. He wants to help capture them.
I don't want him involved.
He can lead us to the kidnappers.
I told you I don't want to be led to them. We will give them the money. They will return my daughter, and that will be the end of it.
Mr. Winthrop,
Sheriff, the only discussion I will allow is in the realm of delivering the money, nothing more. I do not care about your investigations or your desire to capture the lawless. I just want my daughter back.
You should get shot more often, Bill.
Ah, very funny.
That's an awful thing to say.
I just meant that we haven't had a savage party in a long time. And your mom fixing all those goodies and then popping the popcorn.
I don't want any salt on mine. Just plenty of butter.
Popcorn without salt? Ugh. How can you eat it that way?
Well, haven't you heard? Poetry eats everything. He just has a weird way of eating it. Okay, here's a bunch.
Hey, put some into a separate bowl so we don't salt it.
I already thought of that.
You look a little tired, Bill.
Well, not really. It's just been a big day and all.
I'll be giving you the pills in a little while, and you'll go off to sleep.
I wonder if the sheriff is with Mr. Winthrop now.
Probably. Do you think maybe he'll be calling in a private investigator?
Well, I hope so. I've never met a private investigator. Well, only in books.
Who do private investigators work for?
Just other people.
You mean they're not with the police?
Oh, they're with the police. Well, I mean, they work with them. But a private investigator is a guy who maybe once was on the police force and then went into business on his own. Yeah. Well, I think I remember on a radio program where the guy said you had to be a policeman before you could be a private investigator.
I think you're right, Poetry, but I'm not sure.
Well, anyway, people who can afford it hire them to solve a crime for them. And that's why they're called private, because they don't work for the public.
You know, sometimes your explanations may not always be right, but they're always very interesting.
Hey, what do you mean by that?
Have some popcorn, Poetry.
Boy, am I getting sleepy.
Sleep? But we just got bedded down. I thought at a savage party you stayed up all night.
That's true when you have parties with people your own age. We're a bunch of old men around here.
Hey, speak for yourself. Boy, this popcorn's making me thirsty.
Yeah.
I'll get us some Kool-Aid. Bill's mom said she left some in the icebox.
Well, thanks, Big Jim. Hey, who's leading devotions tonight?
I think Big Jim is. Aren't you, Big Jim?
I think so.
I just want to make sure we don't forget, because I'm starting to get pretty tired.
You're tired, too? What kind of a party is this? If I wanted to go to sleep early, I could have stayed home.
I'm sorry, little Jim. Look, some other night when there hasn't been so much excitement, we'll have the savage party where you stay up all night and just have a real good time.
Well, I'm having a good time now. Any of you guys want some more popcorn?
Not for me.
Well, no thanks.
I just want to lick the butter from the bottom of the bowl.
Here's the Kool-Aid, fellas.
Oh, thanks, Big Jim.
Everybody got their glasses?
Me first.
Okay.
You know, I wonder how Cindy's doing.
That's hard to say, little Jim. She's probably mighty scared.
When we have devotions, we're going to say an extra special prayer to the Lord to protect her.
We certainly will, little Jim.
I know how I'd feel if somebody I didn't know and who wasn't very nice just took me away from my house and wouldn't let me back.
You think they're treating her mean?
Whoa, they'd better not. She's only a kid.
You know, after she gets back, we should invite her to play with us.
But she's a girl.
So what?
Well, look, I don't mind saving her from kidnappers, but I don't want any girl joining our gang.
We didn't say she was going to join the gang. We just said we'd ask her to play.
Well, aren't there any girls for her to play with?
Yeah, maybe we could invite her to church and let her meet some girls.
Hey, fellas, I think we'll be lucky to get permission to have her visit. Her dad keeps her pretty much in the house, except when she goes out with her governess.
But she's our age. What does she need a governess for?
Well, her mom and dad aren't ever there, hardly. So she needs a governess.
That's right, fellas. I've been there lots of times, but I've seen her folks only once.
That's sad.
It is. But Cindy really doesn't grumble or nothing. She's real sweet.
You think maybe, Circus, you could be sweet on her?
Come on! I don't even like girls. Cindy's just a friend.
Sure.
Well, she can throw a football pretty good.
She can?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Hey, maybe we can find out about
Sure.
Mr. Winthrop. Maybe he got a private investigator.
Hiya, Sheriff.
Hi there, fellas.
Come on in, Sheriff.
Don't mind if I do.
You want some Kool-Aid, Sheriff? Big Jim just made it.
Oh, it sounds real good.
I'll get you a glass.
Well, what's the news, Sheriff?
Where are the folks?
Oh, down at church. They left Big Jim in charge. There's a budget meeting or something.
Oh,
Here's your glass.
thanks a lot.
Well, Sheriff?
Tastes mighty good.
Yeah, I'm on my third glass already.
How are you feeling, Bill?
Oh, fine. Just fine. Sheriff, you did talk with Mr. Winthrop, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Well, what'd he say?
Yeah.
Well, fellas, we have a small problem.
What is it?
Well, Mr. Winthrop doesn't seem to take the capturing of these criminals seriously.
Well, doesn't he want his daughter back?
Of course he does. Just that he feels that if all they want is $10,000, well, they should be given it and end it there. He just wants his daughter back. He doesn't want to catch them.
But what makes him so sure that they won't do it again?
Yeah.
Cindy will be going away to a private school, so they won't have to worry.
But what guarantee is there that they won't kidnap her at school?
Right.
No, there isn't.
I don't understand. With Tom's dad having been contacted and willing to help lead us to them...
Mr. Winthrop does not want John Till involved at all.
Why?
Boys, my orders are to deliver the money, not to attempt capture. Mr. Winthrop refuses to press charges. Therefore, I'm in no position to do anything but what he says.
Well, we can do one thing, Sheriff Leland.
I know, little Jim. You mean pray. And believe me, that's just what I'm doing.
Oh, come on in, John. Sheriff's here.
Yeah, it's mighty cold out there.
Well, I got the fireplace going real strong. You'll get warmed up real quickly.
Yeah, here's some coffee.
Thanks.
Got some dead rabbits for you, so you won't look like you was out hunting for nothing.
Well, that's mighty kind of you.
Gotta keep one step ahead of them varmints.
You think you were followed?
Not that I know of. I've got a feeling they've been staking me out for quite a while, long before the kidnapping took place. They know I go hunting every morning, so they should suspect nothing. Not too many people know about Old Man Paddler's cave.
Well, I should hope not. It's supposed to be a secret.
I might as well tell you, John, that our hands are tied.
Well, what do you mean by that, Sheriff?
Well, I mean that Mr. Winthrop has given me orders to just deliver the money and not make any attempts to capture the kidnappers.
Is he crazy?
Different priorities, you might say.
When did all this happen?
Last night when I met with him, 10,000 to him's not much money. He just wants his daughter back.
I'll be. First time I decided to go on the side of the law, and I could have made an easy buck, because old Winthrop doesn't want to press charges. Now, that's what I call pretty ironic.
Well, I reckon you've got a point there. More coffee?
Yes.
Yeah, same here.
All righty.
Of course, what he doesn't realize, thanks, is that those guys don't stop at $10,000.
I've been over that with him. He refuses to see the future possibilities. What did they want you to do?
It's a standard trick. They figure once they get the money from the cemetery, trying to get it out is going to be the hard thing, because they're figuring you'd set up roadblocks.
Yeah, they're right. At least that's what I was planning to do.
Well, they want me to catch a whole slew of fish. You know, big ones. You see, when I was in prison, I used to tell the brother of one of them guys that...
What's his name?
Rick Sheldon. He was up for assault and battery. His brother's the one that's in on this. His name's Sam. Sam Sheldon.
Go on.
Well, anyway, as I was saying, when I was in prison, I used to pass some of the time by telling about all the big fish I used to catch. And they weren't fish stories. I really catch them.
Yeah, I know you do. And to this day, I can't figure out how you do it.
So they told me to catch these big fish and to meet them at a deserted ice house on the lake.
What do you think they're planning to do with the fish?
Oh, it's an old trick. You see, if you stopped a car with a lot of suitcases, you'd, of course, get real suspicious. But a couple of fishermen with a good catch, well, you just congratulate them and let them go on their merry old way. What you wouldn't know is that sewed inside all them fish would be money.
Well, I'd say that was a pretty expensive catch.
$1,000 fish.
Oh, 10,000. Anyway, I was to get 300 for doing it. But, well, as my good wife would say, to err is human, but to keep it up is just plain foolish.
John, you got a good woman there.
Of course, now that Mr. Winthrop's just willing to give them the money, there's no sense in them going to all that trouble.
Yeah, but I can't see why you don't just catch them anyway. I mean, they don't know that I'm not going along with their plans and all. The kid, Cindy, she'll be returned to them by then.
Will she?
Well, Haven't they made plans as to what to do after the money's been left?
If they have, they haven't told us.
That's strange.
What is?
Well, I haven't worked with these guys, but I know them, and their operation is something like mine was. You know, do the job, tell how much you want, and then after the dough's been collected, give further instructions.
Well, maybe they're going to tell us today.
Maybe, but it just seems strange. Maybe it's just my imagination.
No. What do you mean?
Well, Mr. Winthrop's a pretty rich man. $10,000 isn't much for him. Why didn't they hit him for more?
I've been asking the same question.
Do you think maybe that...
I don't know, but I'm going to go have another talk with our Mr. Winthrop.
Louise? Louise, wake up. I said wake up.
Charles? What time is it?
7 a.m.
Oh, Charles, really?
Just
7.
get up and wash your face. I want to talk. I have a great deal to do today.
Oh, my head.
Your head is the same every morning. Too much scotch and not enough sleep. Now get up.
Stop pulling on me. All right, I'm up. I'm up.
Now go wash your face.
Look, I'm up. I don't have to wash my face.
I want you alert. Go and wash your face.
Whatever happened to good morning, darling?
It got lost somewhere between Caribbean Cruises and Chivas Regal. Now go wash your face.
All right.
What time did you arrive last night?
Who knows? You were fast asleep. No matter what happens in your life, you get your 8 hours.
You don't seem upset about Cynthia.
I am upset about Cynthia, but what can I do? They want 10,000, give them 10,000.
Stevens is bringing the cash today. We have one more day until we see her, and then she's going to Leander School.
What was that?
I said Cynthia is going to a private school.
Charles, she's only 7 years old.
I'm surprised you remember her age. You hardly see her.
We hardly see her.
What are you doing?
Having my morning constitutional.
Louise, in the name of decency, it's only 7 a.m.
That's your fault, Charles. You know I always have a drink when I first get up, but it's usually at noon. Now, if you'll excuse me... Oh, that's better. My, you always look so much better when I have a drink in me.
You make me sick.
I make you sick. Charles, you know how much I make you sick? Well, double it. That's how much you make me sick. Now, what is this about our child going to a private school at the tender age of 7? I won't have it.
Louise, this is only the first kidnapping attempt. There could be others. My reputation, my business, where we are in this world, leaves us vulnerable to such things.
It's not my fault you turned out to be another big world tycoon.
You don't seem to be suffering from the wealth.
Oh? Well, it just depends on how you look at it.
Don't start that.
Start what? I'm not the one who visits the Collins family to get, what is it you call it? A sense of the simplistic form of life? I've become quite accustomed to our standard of living.
Indeed.
In fact, if it weren't for the unfortunate circumstance of being married to you, I'd be perfectly content.
If that's all that's stopping you, we have our lawyers and... Oh, no, Louise. I don't mean to be...
Yes, I know. You don't, but you are. I don't, but I am. Look, Charles, I want Cynthia back. Deep down, I want us back. I care. I'm hard sometimes and loud, but I care. I really do. It's funny, but I just don't know whatever happened to us. We were happy once.
Yes, we were. Please, don't make another drink.
All right, I won't.
Some coffee?
I think so.
I can ring the maid.
No, we can go down in the den.
Louise, what you said about the Collinses... Yes, I do visit them because they have a simple way of life that does appeal to me. But there's something else. their belief in a personal God.
You have wealth, you have power, now you want God?
I want peace. I want us to be a family.
We stopped being a family when you stopped being with us.
I had a business to build.
You built the business, not the marriage. What else can I say?
Nothing, I guess. I don't have the foggiest notion how we got where we are. Maybe we wanted too much of what was in the world instead of what was in each other.
Oh, it's too early in the morning to be philosophical. Look, go down to the den. I'll ring the maid and have her bring our breakfast there. I'll be down as soon as I change.
All right. I'm sorry I acted the way I did.
Me too. Look, promise I won't take another drink until Cynthia's home. Deal?
And I'll stay right by your side. Deal?
Go on down and stop grinning.
Anything you say.
Oh, my poor little head. It aches, aches, aches. Oh, maybe I should take a shower. That should help. Hello, Lisa? Never mind what I'm doing up so early. I wanted to see what the morning glories looked like in full bloom. Mr. Winthrop and I would like breakfast in the den. 2 full breakfasts. Now, don't forget, his eggs nice and soft. Yes, in about 20 minutes. But bring some coffee into him right now. Thanks. Oh! Oh!
Mrs. Winthrop?
How did you get in?
I wouldn't scream, Mrs. Winthrop. This gun is loaded. Just grab a dress, put your coat on, and follow me quietly.
But I...
Look, if you want your daughter again, do exactly as I say.
Can't this thing go any faster?
Not when the speed limit's 20 miles an hour. Would you rather walk?
Oh, no, I was just wondering.
What do you think the sheriff wants to see us for?
A sheriff always has meetings with his deputies.
Yeah, but didn't Mrs. Winthrop say he didn't want us to help?
Yeah, that's true. But something must have happened. All I know is the sheriff wanted us down there fast, and that's what we're doing.
Maybe it's our job to deliver the money to the cemetery.
Deliver the money and not be able to catch the skunks? I'd rather die.
That's no way for a deputy to talk.
$10,000. You know how much $10,000 can buy?
Well, when milk's 5 cents a quart, 10,000's a lot of cream.
Hey, that's very poetic.
It was?
Yeah.
Seems like we're never gonna get there.
You know, for someone who only last week was walking most of the time or riding his bicycle, you sure are making a lot of demands on old Jessica.
Jessica who? Oh, you gave her a name.
Every car's got to have a name. But why Jessica?
And she's really the only girl I know.
It's not saying much for your social life.
Well, give me a chance. I'm only 16. Right now, I'm going to look for a place to park.
Hey, stop and let us out, and we'll meet you at the sheriff's, okay?
Yeah. Just tell him I'll be right in.
Thanks for driving us in.
You're welcome, Dragonfly.
Can I go with you to park old Jessica?
Are you saying she's old because she's used or because the real Jessica's 19?
No, you called her old Jessica.
Oh.
We'll see you guys later.
Hurry up and find a parking place.
Yeah, we'll tell the sheriff you'll be coming.
Find a parking place. That's the one thing that's not so easy in this town.
That's what my dad always says.
Never had this much trouble with my bicycle.
Oh, you got real grown-up problems now.
Hey, watch where you're driving, fella.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, I guess I do.
Oh, hey, isn't that a parking place over there?
It would be if there wasn't any fire hydrant.
Well, what difference does that make? There isn't any fire.
Oh, little Jim. It must be nice to be 8 going on 9.
Oh, no, I wish I were your age.
It won't be long.
It'll be ages.
Have you got a penny on you?
Yeah, I got 2.
Let me borrow one. I'm going to put Jessica in Sam's parking lot.
You're gonna spend a penny to park the car?
If you want to get into the sheriff's office before the kidnapping's solved, gotta park the car.
Okay. Here's a penny.
Don't worry, I'll pay you back.
What's the thought of paying a penny to park a car? Boy, my dad's right. Things are really going to the dogs.
Sorry we took so long, Sheriff. We had to find a parking place.
Yeah, glad you're so conscientious. But since you're a deputy, you can park it in on one of the official places near my office.
Thanks a lot. Something worse must have happened. You all look pretty serious.
Well, they kidnapped Mrs. Winthrop.
Cindy's mom?
That's right.
Any reason?
More ransom, for one.
Yeah, and the other reason?
Yeah, the ransom's in the form of land.
Land?
Well, Mr. Winthrop's got plenty of that.
What land?
It's the land bordering the state prison. You see, Mr. Winthrop was negotiating with the government for selling the land to them. Seems like when prisoners escape, it's the only real exit in this strip that's part swamp. But it's a way out. The other land surrounding the prison is a death trap. With the government buying the land, they would, of course, make it impossible for any full-fledged escapes.
And if anyone else bought it, what?
That's the picture.
Well, how come they hadn't bought that land in the first place?
Goes back years, Bill. The prison before was only what you might call your tame prisoners. But with the penitentiaries being so overcrowded, some of the big-time crime syndicate people have been sentenced there, and their friends on the outside have more sophisticated ways of getting their people out.
Yeah, but if they got the land for Mr. Winthrop, we'd know who they were, and then we could capture them.
They don't want to buy the land from him. They just want to make sure he doesn't sell it to the government. You see, the 10,000 ransom for Cindy's kidnapping, plus kidnapping Mrs. Winthrop, was just a trick. They figured with 2 hostages, they'd have more of a chance of getting what they want.
Does that mean they don't want the 10,000?
They want that, too. A lot of payoff money involved here.
A lot more than that. If they got away with this, they could easily start trying for even bigger things. Like setting up escape routes for all their big prison men.
Yeah, you're right there.
What's your plan, Sheriff?
Yeah, Mr. Winthrop's calling in a private investigator. This thing's a lot bigger than just a kidnapping now. But what he wanted me to tell you guys was to keep a lookout for anything strange. And one other thing.
What's that?
Mr. Winthrop doesn't trust John Till.
But he hasn't done anything.
True, but he had. He evidently knows one of the brothers of one of the men involved, and...
But he wants to help.
Mr. Winthrop just wants to make sure that his offer is for real. Now, I tend to believe that John's learned his lesson. But he's still a heavy drinker, and...
Oh, I see what you mean.
You mean he might start drinking too much and say something he shouldn't? Well, I can understand that, because my dad used to drink a lot before he came to know the Lord.
Anyway, he just wants you to keep an eye on the Tills for us. See if Tom knows something. And, of course, Bob.
Now, that's the one I wouldn't trust. Bob's about the sneakiest guy I know.
Yeah, right now, just keep an eye open and report. Above all, don't make any of your own judgments. It might be a shot in the dark, but John's poor, money's scarce. He might be playing both ends against the middle.
If he is, what then?
Just another clue to the puzzle.
I know we're not supposed to make judgments and all, but Mr. Till's been coming around to our house an awful lot. And he's listening to my mom and dad tell about how they feel about living the way Christ would want you to live. And Mr. Till's been listening.
I think that's wonderful, Bill. But we can't let our emotions get involved right now.
It's not my emotions.
Well, what I mean is, I know you'd like to think that John Till is really trying to search for a better way of living. And I want you to know that I believe the way you do, that Jesus Christ does hold a secret. But you know the stories in the Bible about how some people pretended but really weren't true believers?
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm not saying John Till's like that. I'm just saying we got to put all the facts on the table. And as much as I admire the small changes that have come into John's life since he got out of prison, the fact remains he was in prison. Strong ties develop there. And sometimes, even though you might want to break off from the past won't let you.
You mean they might be threatening him, too?
Maybe.
But why would he have come to you?
Hard to say. Maybe he's on the level. I'm certainly treating it that way. But we've still got to be cautious. Another thing.
What's that?
I want you to spend some time around that old deserted ice house. Check all the roadways around it. And then take my motorboat.
Oh, boy!
I thought you'd like that. and check the waterways. You know, where a boat might hide, where it would go to. Talk to one of the forest rangers as to where those waterways eventually lead to.
We can do all that, sir.
If you don't mind, Sheriff, I'd like to be spending most of my time with Tom Till. Well, they've been spending a lot of time over at our place, and...
Of course, I understand. Ah, Mr. Winthrop.
Sheriff? Boys?
Hi, Mr. How are you, Mr. Winthrop? We're very sorry about your misfortune, Mr. Winthrop.
Thank you, Big Jim.
We're praying for you. Every night, my mom and dad and we...
That's very kind of you. Sheriff, I want you to meet Leonard Cummins. He's from Chicago and is here to help us.
Oh, pleased to meet you.
The same.
These are some of the fellas that are helping us. Big Jim, Bill Collins,
Hi.
Poetry,
Hello.
Dragonfly,
Hello,
Circus,
Hi.
and Little Jim.
How do you do, Mr. Cummins?
Mr. Winthrop's filled me in on the situation, and now I'd like to talk with you.
Certainly.
I guess we better get going then.
Before you leave, Mr. Cummins thinks it would be better if the boys weren't involved.
Not involved?
Why not? We know the territory like the back of our hands.
That may be true, but I'm afraid we're dealing with something bigger here than just small-time troublemakers. The less people involved, the better.
I'm sorry, boys. When they kidnapped Mrs. Winthrop, well, I guess I got carried away. I knew you fellas wanted to help.
We can understand that, sir. What we're doing won't interfere with you. Just checking on the tills and examining the old ice house.
You told them about the ice house?
I told them to check the ice house, the roads, and the waterways around it.
Small-town detectives.
I beg your pardon?
Nothing. I'd like to have the meeting, so if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. We're leaving.
It was nice meeting you, Mr. Cummins, and we'll do all we can to help.
Yeah.
You can help us a great deal by just staying out of it.
Thanks again, boys. We do appreciate your concern.
Okay.
Bill,
Yes, sir.
would you mind telling your dad I'll be visiting with him this afternoon? That is, if he isn't too busy.
Oh, he won't be, Mr. Winthrop. He won't be.
Mr. Cummins seemed like a pretty thorough man, and he knew his job all right. He also knew that he didn't want us helping to capture the criminals. However, we did decide to do what the sheriff asked. So far as checking out waterways and roadways by the old ice house, and making sure that Tom's dad, John Till, was on the up and up. So, while we made plans and preparations as to how we were going to go about our small part, the sheriff, Mr. Winthrop, and Mr. Cummins were mapping out their plans.
And the latest word you heard from the kidnappers?
$10,000 in the return of the government property rights deed unsigned.
This is definitely a syndicate move.
Well, what I don't understand is how they found out you owned the land near the prison. These things are kept pretty secret.
He's right about that, Winthrop.
Well, I don't know myself. The only ones I discussed this with was my immediate staff.
Do you have any questionable employees?
No, I screen everyone carefully. I can't afford not to.
Well, was there anyone else?
Well...
Mr. Winthrop?
This is crazy, but...
But what?
My wife.
You think your wife is involved?
No, but she knows about this business with the government. She has a slight drinking problem, and perhaps under the influence she may have said something.
To whom?
My wife gambles for rather high stakes. Her vacations are usually on junkets. She mixes with a number of what you might term the fast set.
It's very probable she mentioned your occupation to someone.
Very possible. And that's why they had to kidnap her. If they mentioned the land as a bribe, she'd know who they were.
And they kidnapped your daughter to bring your wife back from the Caribbean. Very intelligent group we're working with here.
The immediate people we're dealing with, the kidnappers, how important are they to the scheme of things?
My guess is that they were hired for this job specifically, which means their lives aren't that valuable.
What makes you think that?
Intuition. And it explains their contact with John Till. That's a mistake they've made that could be in our favor if John Till is leveling with us.
That's one thing we don't know.
Well, the boys are keeping an eye out for any unusual moves by John.
Can these boys be trusted?
They can be trusted, Mr. Cummins. My concern is for their safety.
Small towns have strange ways. You wouldn't see a city inviting teenagers and younger to be deputies.
And if they were anything like the Sugar Creek Gang, you would.
The Sugar Creek Gang?
Yeah, that's what they call themselves, for the town we live in.
Right. Well, I suppose they're keeping an eye on John Till won't hurt anything.
And they're checking those roads and waterways from the ice house. I figure we won't be able to make any moves in the cemetery. We've got to be absolutely certain we can get Mrs. Winthrop and Cindy to safety before we start chasing them.
Mr. Winthrop, what guarantee have they given you as to your daughter's and wife's safety?
They haven't. But they said as long as I held on to the land, there wouldn't be any further harassment. But if I turned around after the return of my family and began renegotiations with the government or allowed them any access to the land, the second persuasion wouldn't be as, how did he term it? Oh, yes, diplomatic. We're dealing with very big men, Mr. Cummins. That's why I called you in.
Do you have the money?
It was delivered this morning. 50s and $100 bills.
Serial numbers?
Yes.
When did you say you'd hear from them?
Late this evening.
I've set up a tape recorder in your home. We'll be taping all calls. Also, Sheriff, I want to contact the Forest Ranger Station. They'll be of great service to us since they know the waterways.
Well, Big Jim's already doing that.
Fine. One other thing. How many do you have on your force?
Myself and another deputy.
Now, I'll have a few of my men fly in.
What about our low profile?
Oh, just a few. The ranger station can supply more men if necessary. Now, as I understand, they want Till to pick up the money, deliver it to the ice house, and put the money in the fish.
That's it.
When is this to take place?
I'll know this evening.
So let's do our groundwork now.
And I don't think it's wise for us to be seen down by the ice house. If John Till is leveling with us, and I believe he is, they're going to be watching that boathouse to see if anyone of a suspicious nature is seen around there. Now, the fellas can play around that boathouse, and none of your kidnappers would suspect a thing. If they see us snooping around...
You needn't say more. We'll let the boys do it. But let's go to the ranger station. The most they can think we're doing is setting up roadblocks, since they don't know we know about the ice house.
Let's hope that.
Well, then they won't suspect we're checking waterways.
Fine. We can do that.
If you gentlemen don't mind, I have a few things to do, and I'll be home in about 2 hours.
We'll see you there.
Hey, you're looking tired, Mr. Winthrop.
I am, Sheriff, I am. There's a price you pay for power, and sometimes I'm not so sure it's worth it.
Thought you'd like to take a walk rather than stay in the house. Besides, the ladies are going to be having one of their missionary meetings, and, well, although it's for a good cause, it can get mighty talky in there.
No, this is fine. I need a good long walk. Ooh. Farm's looking mighty prosperous.
Yeah, the Lord's been good.
And you've been a hard worker.
Yeah, I guess. But you know me, Charles. I love the land. We've been thinking and praying for your wife and little girl.
I know. And right now I'm thinking that nothing but prayer is going to work. But I don't know how viable it is for me.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Well, your life is so simple. Out there, Ted, out there. How else can you define it? It's different. Here it's just you, the land, and your God. With me, things are so complex.
Charles, I don't pretend to know what goes on out there. I suppose my life is simple compared to yours, but, well, I've got a very sure feeling that no matter where I was, if I had a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, that simplicity would still be there. And I also have a very sure feeling that you've been thinking along these same lines, or you would never come to me.
I am coming to you, aren't I?
You have been for quite some time. And not so much coming to me, but coming to a place where you think you might find the answers. Now you're wondering if you can carry those answers to where you are in this world.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm wondering.
Charles, Christ was in the world. He made no qualms about who he dealt with. He was very sure on what level he dealt with them.
You're not going to believe this, but in all my business transactions, I've maintained ethical standards. What I haven't done is ask my staff to do the same. What I didn't know wouldn't affect me, but I am my brother's keeper. I'm not trying to get off the track. I'm just trying to sort out all the thousands of contradictions swimming in my head.
Charles, there's a lot on your mind now. Don't think about all the interactions you have or might encounter. Just think, "Come unto me, all ye that are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." I know you're in a vulnerable point in your life, Louise and Cindy being in the dangerous circumstances they're in, but, well, sometimes God has to bring us to these points because we won't listen any other way.
You think what happened was God intended?
I believe everything that happens in our lives is God intended. And I'll admit that sometimes that's hard to take.
I remember getting very angry when someone told me that once. Somehow I can't now, maybe because you're right. A lot of things have been happening in my life, and I keep snapping to a halt, trying to figure out the reasons. And I always come back to one. I can't place it in your terms, but it's discovering I'm a human being who goes beyond the... Well, what am I trying to say? It goes beyond the... No. I'm a human being who isn't whole. I have the success, the money, the respect, but I am not whole. I guess that's the word.
Those terms are as good as any, Charles. Not being whole is precisely what it's all about. Every man is not complete until he has the one-to-one relationship with his God through Jesus Christ. No matter who you are, president, prince, pauper, we all have the same need, to belong to the one who created us. And when you think of it, that's a fairly reasonable feeling. What are you thinking?
I'm trying to pray. Ted, I'd like to be alone. Just for a few minutes.
Charles, take all the time you need.
Thanks.
What's the time?
About 5. Getting hungry?
Nah.
Well, I sure am.
There's beer in the fridge.
For food?
Well, go catch a rabbit.
What about the kid? Is she hungry, ma'am?
She hasn't eaten all day. We're both hungry. Oh, would you please stop beating that rope?
Bothering you?
The child. I'd like the child to get some sleep.
When I'm ready.
Maybe a glass of water. Oh, I'll get it.
Yeah, just for the kid. Not for Mrs. Winthrop. Alcoholics can get drunk on water.
I am not an alcoholic.
Oh, that's not what the boss tells me.
Sam, shut up.
Don't tell me to shut up. What difference does it make? She wouldn't remember. She was too drunk to know who or where she was.
I don't understand what you mean.
I'll get the water, lady.
You stay right where you are. You're gambling junkets, Mrs. Winthrop. You wouldn't be here if you were a nice, sober lady who stayed home and took care of Shirley Temple over there.
What are you talking about?
Just that you talk too much when you've had a little too much. Oh. And you pal around with the biggies, and some of these biggies work with the, they work. And the people they work for had always been wondering who owned that strip of land right around the prison. The Lapdog Lush.
How dare you?
Didn't you know that was your nickname? Lapdog Lush. Don't you remember complaining about your landowner husband who owns every piece of land right up to the state penitentiary?
Oh, no!
Lapdog Lush.
this thing hasn't been used in years.
It'd make a good meeting place if it weren't so musty.
Hey, aren't you going to leave the door open?
Well, if those guys come down by the ice house and see the door open, they might suspect something.
They just see two kids playing.
Is that how you think of yourself? Just a kid playing?
Yes, Poetry, I do. The only reason why the sheriff isn't here is that if they saw him, they know for sure he wasn't just a kid playing.
You got a point there.
What are we looking for?
Well, anything that'd look suspicious.
It's empty.
Right deduction.
You know, I've been thinking, if they want John Till to stuff all that money into fish, they wouldn't use a car. I think they'd take a boat.
I knew that all along.
Well, why didn't you tell the sheriff?
Because I think he already figured it out. That's why he asked Big Jim to check the river. Well, he's got to set up roadblocks just in case, but I'm pretty sure he's going to gamble on them going up the river. Hey, what's that? Well, I don't know, but just remember, we're just a couple of kids playing.
Don't you Poetry!
Hey, what's going on?
You cheap thunderhead! Surrender now, or I'll make a quick end to you!
I surrender!
What in turn? Poetry? Circus?
Let me up!
Surrender first! Hi, Mr. Till! Surrender!
I surrender! Oh, I surrender. Oh, my poor elbow.
There, that's better.
What are you two doing here?
Oh, we're just a couple of kids playing.
Well, I can see that, but I never knew you fellas came down here to this old ice house.
It's just a deserted old ice house. We didn't think anybody came here.
Hey, that's a big catch you got there.
Yeah, I was lucky today. I was down the road a piece, and I thought I'd clean them here. Not much sense to clean them at home, not so much mess this way.
You want us to help?
No, that's okay. Shouldn't you fellas be running on home?
Oh, not really. We've got plenty
You're right, Mr. Till. We should be running on home. Come on, Poetry. We got to...
Sam.
The door was open.
I forgot to close it.
Got company.
Just some of the boys live around here.
I see.
Well, fellas, why don't you get along now? Hey, you want to take some fish to your folks?
Oh, yeah. My mom would like that a lot. Well, Dad's been kind of unlucky with fishing this past week.
Well, no thanks for me, Mr. Till. We were real lucky, and I've had to eat fish all week long.
Here you are.
Thanks, Mr. Till. Nice meeting you, sir.
Goodbye.
Come on, let's go play up the road a piece.
Bye-bye, fellas.
Where did they come from?
Oh, they were here when I came. Sam, they're just a couple of boys. You're too suspicious.
That's why I was hired. I can smell a rat 50 miles off. Got the fish?
Well, these ain't rabbits I'm holding.
Look, don't get smart. Are you sure these boys don't suspect anything?
They're little boys who have every right to play in an old deserted ice house. I think you're getting jumpy.
This is no small job.
Well, what's the next step?
Ross picks up the money.
I thought you wanted me to.
I don't trust you. Your little boy was at the sheriff's office.
Sam, it's a small town. Sheriff's office happens to be a congregating place. We don't have much crime around here. Or didn't.
Now, you got your fish, right?
Yes.
And the sewing equipment?
Just like you said.
Well, I'm gonna be locking you in here.
What?
Not that I don't trust you.
You don't.
Just making sure. My brother says you're trustworthy, but just making certain. You see, I'm always real conscientious. That's why my brother's in there where he is, and I'm where I am. I never been in one of those cages, and all because I'm real conscientious. And now I brought you some sandwiches and beer, and you can settle down with your fish until this evening. Ross will bring the money, and you can have your sewing party. Then we'll go on from there.
My wife's expecting me home.
She can wait. Look, you need that money, don't you?
Yeah.
Then wait. Just pretend you're in one of those cages. And wait.
Boy, I sure like being a deputy.
Finish snapping the buttons on that life preserver, little Jim.
That's plenty tight, Big Jim. I hate that old thing.
You may hate it, but if this thing tips over, you're going to be mighty glad you have it on.
Big Jim, swerve on to the left. There's a cove over there.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Oh, I've never been there before.
No reason to be. It's not a good fishing place, and the water's too shallow to swim.
But it's a good place to hide a boat.
And if I remember, there's a road that leads right down to it.
That's right. All the other coves we've been to don't have easy access to the road.
Hey, there is a boat.
Could be just a fishing boat.
But we know everybody who fishes on this river.
He's right. There's this boat in a cove that's near a road. The only road. And by the looks of things, that motor ain't patrolling.
Water's pretty shallow here. Okay, into the water.
But we'll get wet.
Why are you a lousy deputy?
If we put our boat ashore and anybody comes down, they'll see the sand marks and suspect something. We've got to go wade to the other boat.
You're right. Here goes. Oh, it's cold.
For someone raised in the country, you sure are cityfied.
His dad runs a motel. That's being almost cityfied. Hey, somebody help me.
Here you go.
Fellas, it wouldn't matter if I was raised in Alaska. I don't like the cold.
Boy, wouldn't my dad like to have that motor?
Yeah, it's pretty sophisticated.
Bet it goes fast. What are you getting in for?
Just looking around.
Won't they suspect somebody's been in the boat?
Doubt it. If they don't see any sand tracks, they won't think about it. Well.
What is it?
A box. It's locked.
Let me see it.
Can't bust it open or they'll suspect something.
Trusty little penknife.
Smart, Dragonfly. Real smart.
But what if you break the lock?
No, I'm real good at this. I do it all the time to my piggy bank.
If it's your piggy bank, why don't you just use your key?
I threw the key away so I couldn't get into it. There. It's open.
It's a note.
My hands are all wet.
Here, let me see it. It's a map.
A map?
Fellas, we found the map that leads them. Wow! We gotta get to shore and back before dark.
Say, this is real nice of you to bring Bessie over for riding.
You comfortable back there?
Oh, yeah. My dad says as soon as we get some extra money, I might be able to have a horse.
Great. Where is your dad?
My dad?
Yeah. When I was coming by your house, he wasn't out in the fields.
Oh, well, he went fishing.
In the afternoon?
No, he left early this morning. I think he was going to try and sell some. Billy went fishing this morning, and I don't know where he is now. I mean, I do, but I can't tell you. And I don't want to lie.
Does this have anything to do with the sheriff?
Yes.
Tom, you know the sheriff deputized us all, and he told us about what your dad said, and about the meeting over at Mr. Paddler's.
He did? I didn't know that.
You think your dad's meeting with the kidnappers now?
All I know is he was supposed to be back about an hour ago, and he's not.
Tom, do you think maybe he...
No, Bill. No, I don't think that. My dad's trying. He didn't even want to talk to these guys at all, but you see, well, this guy who's doing the kidnapping, well, his brother, well, while my dad was in prison and all, he sent my mom and me money. Dad didn't have any, and this guy called his brother, who knew people, and then...
Well, why didn't your mom come to us?
I don't know. This was before we became Christians, and, well, Dad feels obligated. But he didn't know it was going to be a kidnapping. They just said something about getting money from Winthrop and needing my dad to do some fishing, and, well, when he found out what they did, he couldn't go along with it.
Where do you think he is now?
I don't know, Bill, and I'm real worried.
Yes?
Winthrop?
Yes.
About time.
I've got the money.
At the Indian Cemetery, 10 tonight. Leave the money, go home and wait for another call.
My wife and child?
Hungry and sober.
Why, you...
Well, that's a familiar voice.
You know him?
We've been after him for years. I've spent hours interrogating him, and he's always covered, always the alibi. Sam Sheldon. His brother's in prison. Makes sense now.
Said something about my wife, sober. You know, I think my hunch was right. That's how they found out about the land. She must have said something somewhere, and...
Don't think about that now. Let's just hope we can get them and the money.
I don't care about the money or the land.
The government cares about that land. If they get control...
I know. But let's get my wife and daughter back first and worry about that second. I'll go and get the car.
It's early.
I just want to drive by myself.
Mr. Winthrop?
Yes?
There are some young gentlemen to see you. Rather anxious, in fact. I've seen them before in town. Big Jim, Dragonfly, and a Master Little Jim.
Send them in.
Don't say a word to them.
Mr. Cummins, those boys are worth 10 of your men. Now, the Rangers couldn't give us any information that might help us. Those boys have what you'd call a solid ace up their sleeves.
And what's that?
An uncanny direct pipeline to God. Now, they'll be helping us, and you will listen to them.
Right in there, boys.
Thank you, sir.
Fellas, what's up?
Sheriff Leland told me to get over here right away. He's headed out toward Linden Point.
Well...
We found their boat, Mr. Winthrop.
And a note. Don't you worry. They're going to be caught and Sidney's
Wait. Start from the beginning. Big Jim, you do the explaining.
Well, Sheriff Leland gave us his boat to scout the waterways. There was this one cove with access to the road. There was a boat. In the boat was a locked metal box, so we opened it.
You didn't break it?
No, sir. I used my penknife. There's no sign it's been touched.
In it was a note, a map. First it led to the ice house, and then to the island in the middle, and then straight to Linden Point.
Which leads to open waters.
The ice house is where they're collecting the money.
And we figure the island is where they're going to leave Cindy and Mrs. Winthrop. There'd be no reason to stop off there, and then they'd continue on to open waters.
Very good, Big Jim. I take back what I said about you fellas.
That's all right, sir. Anyway, the sheriff wants you to do exactly as they said, and he'll take care of the rest. Oh, he also wants Mr. Cummins with him and his men.
What guarantee do we have that that island is the dropping-off place for my wife and daughter?
We're not sure. Just guessing. But I just have a feeling that's what it's for. You see, I don't think they bargained for anybody who knew the area. With all due respect to Mr. Cummins, it just makes a lot of sense.
Well, we can cover all sides. I'll post some men near the ice house.
Sir, if it's all right with you, why didn't you let us fellas do it? It'd be Bill and myself. We're the eldest, and we can fire a rifle better than most.
I don't want you in any danger.
We won't be. It's just that if they see men, they're going to get awful suspicious. We're just a couple of kids camping for the night.
Let them do it, Cummins. And give your men to the sheriff.
Anything you say.
Dad! Are you in there?
Tom, is that you? Get away from here.
Are you all right?
Yeah. Now get on home.
Circus and Poetry told me you were here locked in the ice house. Don't worry, Dad. We're taking care of them.
Easy, fellas.
Hey,
let go!
I thought you wanted to see your dad.
Tom, are you there?
He's here, John.
Let me go.
You shut up or I'll level you. Now, if you want to see your dad, just stand nice and quiet.
Tom, are you all right?
Yeah, you're lucky he is, you dirty rat.
Come here, boy.
Dad, what's happening?
You shouldn't have come here.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Now, how much does the sheriff know? Congregating center for teenagers. I should have caught on then. Now, tell me.
Don't you hurt my dad.
Why, you...
Now, both of you, shut up. Look, I want answers. How much does the sheriff know?
Just that I'm to put the money in the fish.
Yeah, it's a good thing I didn't trust you with anything more, you stinking rat. Now, look, start sewing the money into the fish. Ross will be here with the boat.
Boat?
Good thing I didn't tell you about the boat. You'd probably told him we'd be pretending to be fishermen driving home with our catch, didn't you? You did, you stoolie. Well, it's gonna be the last time you cheat on your pals.
Don't hurt the boy.
He won't feel a thing. Now start sewing.
right, I want 2 men stationed on the island. Do not go after the kidnappers. Just let them leave off the hostages. And when they leave, take the woman and child to safety.
Yes, sir.
Under no circumstances do you let them know you're on the island, unless something happens that changes their suspected plans. We've given them enough rope by not bothering them at the pickup points. We won't make the actual capture until Linden Point. Now, if they don't leave the hostages on the island, radio us immediately. If they do, radio us immediately after they depart, so we can time their arrival at the point.
Will do.
Any questions? All right, you're on your way.
You about ready to leave, ma'am?
Yes. Come on, Cindy.
Yeah, she doesn't talk much.
She's not feeling too well.
I'm sorry about the food.
That's all right.
Here are your coats.
Thank you. Put yours on now, Cindy.
You see, ma'am, about that food, Sam figures the weaker you are, less chance you'll try to escape.
Certainly are a strange man.
Well, I just don't like seeing ladies get hurt. When you need money to feed a family and all, well, I got a little girl same age as yours. Well, I guess we better be getting on.
My ring?
Sam took that, ma'am.
The fellas were mighty upset they couldn't come with us.
We can't afford to have too many. I just wish I knew where Tom took off to.
Well, chances are he went to the ice house after he heard Circus tell us his dad was locked in.
Well, we'll soon find out.
What do you think the chances are of them leaving Mrs. Winthrop and Cindy off at the island?
Just like I told the sheriff. It's just logical. There'd be no other reason to draw a map with 3 specific points.
Yeah.
One to pick up money, the other to let off hostages, and the other to get out.
Hey! There's a light coming through the ice house.
Can't be. There aren't any windows. Unless
Do you think they've been and gone?
I don't think so. Leastways, I'm hoping not.
Okay, let's get over there.
Listen.
It's a boat. Coming nearer.
Let's circle around the ice house just to be sure we're not seen.
Good idea.
We're a docking, ma'am. Would you mind swinging that rope around here?
Here.
Thank you. Come on, Missy. Get up there now, toward the front of the boat.
Where are you taking us?
Just up to the ice house. Now, look, we'll be coming back down into the boat and taking you over to the island.
You're going to leave us on an island?
Yeah, afraid so, ma'am. And these are what these blankets and matches are for. I'll light a fire for you before we leave. I promise. It's the boss's orders, and we'll be letting your husband know within the hour where you are. Here you go, ma'am. Come on, Miss Cindy. Just right up this way. We'll only be here for a few minutes. We're picking up the money.
I thought it was to be picked up at the cemetery.
It was, and brought here.
About time you got here. What took you so long?
I had to get some blankets.
Yeah, we're ready to go. But I got some unfinished business. Turns out John Till here's been a stoolie. He was letting the sheriff know all along what was going on. Just a good thing he didn't know everything.
Well, is the money ready?
Yeah. Come on into the ice house. Come on in, lady. You're going to be spending the night outdoors, so you may as well enjoy a little bit of warmth. Good joke, a warm ice house. Well, in a town like this, it seems to fit.
Tom, what are you doing here?
He was a little boy that was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Hello, Mrs. Winthrop. Hi, Cindy. Cindy?
She's not talking, Tom. She hasn't talked for 2 days.
All right, let's get it over with. You finished, John?
The last fish stuffed and sewed.
Good. Now, stand over by that wall.
What are you going to do?
Teach Stooley a lesson.
You know, you said there wasn't going to be any killing.
I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to paralyze him.
Now, Sam.
One shot in the right place.
Don't you hurt my dad!
Keep away from him, kid.
Now, stay out of my way, you rotten Stooley. Now, turn around. This'll be the last time you ever snitch again, you rotten, good-for-nothing little rat.
Stay right there, mister. You two, don't move. Bill, get the guns.
Oh, Big Jim, am I glad to see you.
How did you guys know?
Never mind, Mr. Till.
Now, look, fellas, you boys shouldn't be playing with firearms.
We're not boys, sir. We're deputies. Now just both of you stand against the wall. Tom, you run to the nearest house and phone the sheriff's office. Tell him to hightail it up here.
Right away.
What are you going to do now?
Shut up.
You were going to injure that man. I thought you said this was just a robbery. You know how many years they could send us up for?
Yeah, I know. Well, we're caught. What can I say? And now that we're finished, well, I guess I may as well give you your ring, lady. I sure would have gotten a pretty penny for it. There you go.
I'd say thank you, but you don't deserve...
Hey! Why don't you just shoot her out of my arms, huh? Grab the fish, Ross.
Hey, man, watch out.
Grab him. Look, back away, nice and easy. We're keeping Mrs. Winthrop. We can renegotiate later. Look, just stay right there if you want to see this lady alive. Yeah, we'll see whether you guys...
Good work, Circus. You got him right behind the legs.
What were you saying, Mr. Sam?
You leave Mrs. Winthrop go.
Hiya, Big Jim.
Ross, what are you standing there for?
These kids. Hey, what's going on?
Just a couple of kids playing, mister.
Bet you're glad to see us, Big Jim.
As a matter of fact, I am.
So am I. Now, gentlemen, if you don't mind, let's all sit down quietly and don't try any funny stuff.
Bet you never thought we'd be the ones catching the kidnappers. Well, I'll tell you a secret. We were just as surprised, especially when they brought the FBI in and all. But we were, and we did. And so many wonderful things happened after it. First of all, John Till got to keep the $300 as a reward for helping the law. Each of us in the Sugar Creek gang got $100 apiece to put in the bank. And then Mr. and Mrs. Winthrop did a very marvelous thing. They gave a large hunk of money to the church. But more important, both of them started to attend services, and soon after became Christians, including Cindy. Mrs. Winthrop had to go away for a while to get some medical help for her drinking, and even Cindy was in the hospital for a while, 'cause what had happened had scared her so much she just stopped talking. Cindy stayed on in Sugar Creek and started to go to school with the rest of us. Well, that's the end of another tale from the Sugar Creek gang. I'm glad I could share it with you. These memories are so precious to me, and they always will be. All I have to do is close my eyes, and I can see us, the Sugar Creek gang. You have just heard the final episode in a 10-chapter series of The Adventures of the Sugar Creek Gang, freely adapted for radio by Phyllis Fox from Paul Hutchins' Sugar Creek Gang series, The Indian Cemetery and the $1,000 Fish.
You've been listening to another dramatic adaptation of Christian children's literature, brought to life by the Bookshelf. This has been a radio presentation produced by the Broadcasting Department of the Moody Bible Institute.